pranked your parents and it went really bad, like really bad. I would say rule of thumb, if you have an Arab dad, honestly watch yourself when you prank him, especially if it's something that's supposed to be like not allowed in the religion, you know what I mean? So I went to a white people's school, you know what I mean? I know I grew up in Saudi Arabia, but I went to a white people's school and my dad knew that and he was so scared that white people would like influence me into being like more white than Muslim/Arab, you know what I mean? He was terrified of me coming home one day with like a tattoo or something, you know what I mean? Like he was like, that's some white people shit, like don't bring that here, you know what I mean? So I did the next best thing. I was like, you know, it's really hard to fake a tattoo, but you know what's really easy to fake? Earrings. So I asked one of my friends, like, he has, like, these magnetic earrings, right? I was like, yo, can I borrow them for a day? I just want to prank my parents real quick, okay? And he was like, yeah, go ahead, whatever. So I take them home, and it's all good so far, okay? So my mom was waiting at home, so I, like, got home with the earring on, right? And she saw me, and she was like, you know, take it off. Like, she knew immediately that it was fake, right? And I was like, okay, can you at least help me, prank my dad? And she's like, okay, but we need a bigger team for this. And I was like, okay. I'm an only child, by the way. She invites, like, our nosy neighbor, she's Egyptian, and, like, her family, okay? So, you know, my mom's, like, throwing a dinner all for a prank. Like, my mom is so committed to the bit, like, I'm truly her son, you know what I mean? We have a table outside of our house, right? And my neighbor and her family, like, they're all sitting there, the food is set, my dad's, like, about to come in, like, 5 minutes, right? So I come outside and I'm like, guys, this is fake, like, I need you to point it out when my dad gets here, and, like, you know, up the ante. I, like, looked at auntie, like, the Egyptian auntie, I was like, auntie, you know what to do. You know how to, like, stir the pot, you know? Go for it. So my dad shows up, and he comes in to the house immediately. I'm fake studying. And he comes in, he knocks on my door, he doesn't see it, right? And he just goes like, okay, like, get ready so you can, like, have dinner with us, whatever. I'm like, okay, sounds good. So he gets ready, he comes outside, and he's sitting with everyone, okay? Now is the time for my entrance. So I walk out with, like, the little ear. Mind you, it was, like, literally a tiny, like, black ball. Like, it was really tiny. I show up, and he's like, he looks at it, but he doesn't, like, pay attention, right? But I saw him, like, eyeing it. And then auntie looks at him and then looks at me and she's like, you're not going to tell your son about his little earring? My dad looks at her and he's like, what earring? And she's like, look, Bibo, me. She's like, Bibo, show him. So I go like this. I'm like, well, what do you think? Like, they're having like free ear piercings at school. Like, how do you feel? You know, my dad, he has this thing of like prestige, you know, like decorum in public. In public. He looked at me and he was like, are you fucking serious? And I was like, yeah, Baba, like, look, it's not that bad. Like, I feel like it's fine. And then he was like, you're serious? Like, he was like, ehlef, like, say wallah. And I was like, so I was like, wallah, I have earrings on. Because technically I do, okay? I didn't say wallah, I pierced my ears. There's a difference, okay? Wallah means I swear to God. He was eating appetizers. He had, like, bread and hummus on his, like, little, like, in his hand. And I remember him dropping it. And he was like, come inside with me right now. And I was like, auntie, intervene. Like, I'm not trying to get a meeting. My dad, like, signals the auntie and her entire family, the husband, everything. He's like, guys, please, I need to handle this with my son. I was like, guys, you can't ditch me right now. And they did. They ditched me. My mom was cooking in the kitchen. She has no idea this even started. You know what I mean? I follow him into the house, and my dad, like, looks at me, and he's like, have you lost your mind? Have you... So I take it out, and I'm like, Baba, wallah, it's fake. He's like, show me your ear. And, like, you know how, like, if you have a magnetic earring for a while, it, like, creates an indent? My dad was like, I see the fucking hole. Wallah, I'm gonna cut off your ear, you fucking... I run out of the house. I go to my Egyptian auntie, and I was like, auntie, please, tell him it's fake. Tell him it's a joke. She wanted to get her lick back. I messed with her a couple of weeks ago. I pranked her for something stupid, and she's like, you know what? I don't know what he's talking about. Auntie! No! Not right now. I start begging auntie. I'm like, auntie, please, like, you know, like, say something. And she's like, لا على فكرة هو أنت مش بتحب تخفف دمك بقى؟ طب عيش بقى بالمقالب بتاعتك عيش. Which means, like, she's like, you know what, since you like to be, like, so lighthearted and funny all the time, throw pranks at everyone, enjoy, reap what you've sowed, enjoy. I run behind her husband, because, like, you know what I mean? Like, she's not gonna help me, maybe her husband has a heart, you know? Her husband stands up and he starts, like, you know, talking to my dad, like, whatever, and he's like, no, calm down. My dad is not buying it. He's looked at my ear, he doesn't see, like, any, like, you know, actual piercing, there's no blood, there's no healing, there's nothing, and he's still not buying it. He's like, no, my son pierced his ear because he goes to school with white people. Like, that's all he was thinking. He calls his school after hours and he's like, did you guys have 3 piercings at school today? Obviously the school was like, huh? Like, no, of course not. My dad's like, say wallah. Mind you, it's like a Stephanie on the phone, you know what I mean? And it's like, she's like, no, I swear, sir, like, we would never do, like, free piercings at school without, like, parents' permission or something. And, like, we wouldn't even do it. It's a health risk and stuff. My dad was like, okay, fine. He looks at me and he's like, I swear to God, one more time you try to be funny, you're out. No school, homeschooling from now on. I'm teaching. I was like, okay. May or may not have gotten, a little, it's fine. May or may not have gotten grounded for a couple of weeks, months. I don't know. If you have an Arab dad, just watch yourself. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I left for a good, 3 minutes and then, it turned really serious really fast and grounded for a couple of months. It's fine. It's fine.